awesome day for the anime viewers. Uma Musume Cinderella Gray episode 20 has come out, and it's honestly amazing. Now, I gotta say, I like this episode. And honestly, I think when it comes to this episode, the two major aspects to describe this episode is basically Oguri and Dicta Striker, and Oguri and Cross, or basically Cross' decision of pretty much retiring after the Arima Kennen. And I gotta say, I loved the kind of symbolism or the resemblance of this situation, because this right here, it reminded Oguri of how she basically was now Marsh. Like back in, remember, in episode 6 in season 1, Marsh was flabbergasted. She was shocked. She was upset that Oguri was going to leave Kawamatsu if she won this race. And Oguri now felt what Marsh felt in that exact same moment. Like, honestly, the tables completely switched. And now Oguri's gonna lose a, a rival. And it's kind of ironic because Oguri has been losing goals or changing her goals in so far in the series. And now she's gonna lose that one rival that pushed her harder than any other Uma Musume in the series. Now, here's the thing, not to take away from Marsh, obviously. Marsh kind of, was Oguri's first rival. And Marsh, in a way, gave Oguri the mountain for her to climb in order to surpass. While in Cross's case, she provided, like I said again, an obstacle, while also making Oguri feel like now she's in Marsh's shoes. Now, I understand that, I'm working the cerebral membrane juices up here in my head to literally give an analysis or of my anime commentary when it comes to Uma Musume right here in this episode, or the series as a whole when it comes to the dynamic between Oguri versus Cross and Oguri versus Marsh. Now, a big factor of why I'm talking about this theme of rivalry in the episode is mostly because of the second half, which part of the theme of that second half deals with that. Besides the fact that we are getting help from another Uma Musume racer when it comes to Oguri accessing the zone, and that's actually where we dive into the character development of Dicta Striker. Now, when it comes to Dicta Striker, now, this might be a little bit of a hot take, I don't know. In my opinion, I think Dicta Striker took the episode, or stole the episode. Now, I know people would, say that the episode was mostly focusing on Oguri's aftermath after learning of Cross's retirement and Cross herself deciding to retire from the derbies. I get all that, but honestly, the second half was honestly probably the most interesting. The one aspect that made this episode what it is, and that is what we got to see more of Dicta Striker's character. And honestly, I was kind of, in a way, a little bit surprised that she was, she thought of Oguri as her rival. In a way, she was like Marsh. She viewed her as a rival, though, in a different light, because in Dicta Striker's case, she was viewed by others as wasted potential, or like literally kind of a disappointment, because they thought that she had it what it took, and then she ended up, in their eyes, not living up to their expectations until she proved everyone wrong when she was able to access the zone. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I think I glossed over this aspect of the manga, so that's why I kind of am a little bit surprised by it, but hey, that made for me, the episode much more enjoyable in my opinion. So I gotta say, Dicta Striker views Oguri as her rival, and it kind of is unreciprocated because Oguri does not view Dicta Striker as a rival, which makes sense for obvious reasons. And I do appreciate and like this different perspective when it comes to the theme of rivalry regarding Oguri's rivalries with other Uma Musumes. Now, even though the race between Oguri and Dicta Striker ended in a tie because Dicta Striker forfeited it, much to Oguri's annoyance, I want to give Dicta Striker some credit. In a way, Dicta Striker's trainer, which, by the way, that guy straight up looks like Frankenstein. He reminds me of a Tim Burton character, in my opinion. And he basically is telling Dicta Striker in the episode that, you were being nice. And what he means by that is that Dicta Striker pretty much helped Oguri. And even though Dicta Striker tried to, brush it off as, I want, a fair race. I want to make this race much more interesting so I could literally have a better chance of, of having a fair chance of winning. In a way, it reminds me of that classic trope in shonen where the villain or the antagonist does something to influence the MC to get stronger, to have a better fight. Like, it reminds me of Toguro from Yu Yu Hakusho. The only difference being is that Dicta Striker isn't a villain. And also, in my opinion, I think she just wanted to help Oguri. So, I did enjoy, this aspect of the episode because we got to see a different light of what another Uma Musume viewed Oguri as, or in another sense, another Uma Musume that views Oguri as a rival, but in this case, it's unreciprocated. Like I said again, Oguri does not view Dicta Striker as such. And I gotta say, when it comes to her zone, it looks really cool. Like, I mean, it kind of reminds me of fireworks or like a meteor. Oguri's case, as we probably could tell by the opening, it's basically like darkness, and it kind of fits with her aspect of being known as the Beast. So I gotta say, really good aspect when it comes to that part of the episode. Now, I do want to talk about one last thing, and that is basically when it comes to the Arima Kennen. I am expecting a good race when it comes to the Arima Kennen, and I am crossing my fingers that it's going to be good. Then again, I'm not expecting a disappointment. This is going to be amazing, in my opinion. And I do want to talk about one last thing before I end the review, and that is when it comes to, why do I think Cross decided to retire? So my theory is that Cross herself wants to finish her career on a high note, and in my opinion, I think it has to do with the old man that Cross respects. I mean, this old man is the reason why Tamamo Cross has her current trainer to this day. That's my theory. I could be wrong about this, but this is what, but that's what the imagination cells in my head are able to conjure up in order to fill in the blanks when it comes to this Da Vinci Code. So yeah, that's about it. I don't have anything else to say. I do apologize that this review came quite a bit late, but hey, better tardy to the party than never to the party. So yeah, I do apologize, and I will try to make sure to be on time for the next week's review. So yeah, thanks for watching. See ya later, and don't forget the magic words. Absolute Lud Clip.